Hi guys. Hello. Oh boy, can you see my little candle? It's bloody dark. The weather, summer just isn't happening. You know, yeah, there's leaves on the trees and whatnot, and there's a bit of sun here and there, but it's actually cold, and I still have the heating on in the mornings because it's bloody cold and it's dark. And I guess this brings me to the topic of the topic. Do I ever have a topic? No, I never start off with a topic anyway. I just sort of, my mind just kind of flutters about and I think, I'll do a video. Everything is just weird, and then a bit more weird. Everything feels really off, and there's a lot of weird shit going down, and there's a lot of, like, well, if this was Star Wars, they'd say there was a disturbance in the Force, right? But then people like us, we're so familiar with that anyway, aren't we? I think what is happening, I feel what is happening here is that our concept, our perception of reality is being turned upside down. It's being disassembled. Is that even a word? Disassembled. It's like when you go to IKEA and you buy this really shitty furniture that you then pay a shitload of money for and have to take home to put together yourself. Right? Well, it's like that, but in reverse. It's like reality is like IKEA. It's really shit, and it's very expensive. You know, all your life you've lived, and you've given it your all. Yeah, they put you in school where they teach you all this rubbish about ambition and having to get a job and being a good law-abiding citizen, and you have to do all that, and then, all the time you're thinking that you're gonna find fulfillment and happiness. So you get married and you have children, and you pay your taxes, and you're a good person, and you go to church and you do all these things, and you think this is going to make me happy, and it never does, and you increasingly find yourself more and more unhappy. It's a bit like that. And then, of course, you awaken and everything starts to implode, because that is where that nice wardrobe that you bought at IKEA, that you spent so much money on, that you had to put together yourself, which took you like many days, and then you ended up calling somebody to come in and do it for you because you just couldn't work it out because it was that complicated. That wardrobe is now being taken apart, and that is what is happening, people. Our entire notion of what we are, who we are, what reality is, what we're here for, everything, it's all being ripped apart. Let's just call it what it is, hey? Why pussyfoot around? It's being ripped the fuck apart. Our consciousness has been squeezed into a vice, and so we've been very small, very little and very small. And now it's like someone's taken a stick of dynamite. Now it's like somebody's taken a giant stick of dynamite and a giant lighter and it's gone poof, and that shit reverberates throughout our consciousness and throughout the so-called collective, which is and is not real in and of itself. So if you start to entertain notions that your brain, your mind can't handle, do not be alarmed. This is all par for the course, right? It really is. God, everything's wonky, isn't it? Hold on. Not that it really matters, of course. It's just par for the course. As within, so without, right? The point is that it's going to get stranger, and there's going to be a lot of cognitive dissonance. Our brain cannot handle what is happening and what is going to be continuing to happen, right? Mojo rising, people, seriously, it's going to get stranger. You're going to intuitively sense shit, know shit, see, hear, feel, taste shit. that your mind will not really be able to digest. All right? And there is nothing to be afraid of. Embrace it and allow yourself to be embraced by it. I will be doing the same. Because it's time for this shit show to go bye-bye, right? To leave Dodge, to get the fuck out of here. I mean, it's bullshit. We don't want it anymore. We don't want to experience this imposed limitation anymore. Now, lately, I've noticed that within the so-called spiritual arena, which I've never really, been a part of that anyway, because I'm not a herd animal, but I've noticed that they talk a lot about miracle consciousness, right? They do that. Oh, miracle consciousness and all these nice, they sit there with all their crystals and all this shit, right? And all their weird yoga postures. But they talk about ascension a lot as well, but they're still happy. I mean, because I listen, I pay attention, I tune in, and I get what they think ascension is and the kind of world that they think they're going to be living in. And in the world that they think they're going to be living in, we still have to grow old and die. Animals will still be forced to hunt and kill and eat each other, right? We will still have to work and pay taxes or whatever, and yet they talk about miracle consciousness, but we still have to live and and die and all grow old, and we still have to get sick because we still have to, and all that is just blatantly false light. Of course, it's utter nonsense. And again, it's gaslighty, manipulative nonsense, because you see, we are infinite beings, and I know of places where I've been or remember or sent or whatever, God knows, where when you are done with a particular experience, you simply change form. Or you simply change form. You simply exit one world and enter another. It's really, you don't have to grow old and die. Old age is a disease. It's a sickness, people, and it's wrong. As well as, say, menopause, which destroys women's lives, as well as Alzheimer's, as well as disease. But it's like people are basically being led up the garden path again, and are still stupid enough to think that they have to accept all this brutal imposed limitation. It fills me with absolute rage. Whoa. And I think the reason it does that, because there is a part of me that still feels subdued by those notions, That's really what that is all about. There's a part of me that's like, well, yeah, that's probably how it has to be. And it's like, no, bullshit. It's bullshit and it's bad for you. That is not what ascension is about. Ascension in its ultimate form is about the knowledge of good and evil. That is how it all started, in a way, the fall. And that is what we are getting back to, you see, because when you finally know and understand what evil truly is, it is healed. Love, only love can heal it. Evil is self-hate. This whole reality is a reflection of that, of self-hate, of manipulation, of darkness, of distortion. And we are like the goldfishes in a bowl, swimming around and around and doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, which of course has never happened. And we've not even imagined that the goldfish in a bowl is in the room of a house, which is on a street, and the street is part of a city, and the city is part of a country, and the country is part of a planet, and so forth and so on. And that's just an analogy. The truth is, that our consciousness is going to start to move way, way, way beyond all these restrictions and imposed boundaries and imposed limitations. Our imaginations are going to be infused with life. We are going to be able to see and understand concepts that are way beyond logic and way beyond rational thought, right? That is the truth. There's a lot of Gemini energy. There's a lot of fluidity coming in. I feel it. And this is all really, really good, but it will make for some, you know, some uncomfortable sensations of, oh, but my mind doesn't understand this, hence it can't, you see, this is part for the course people, but you know, that's fine, because we can handle that, because you see, the element of it as well really is that we are terrified of our own power. I mean, we've been so little and so dark and so and so afraid and so full of self-loathing for so long, that if all of a sudden we start to really feel and sense our infinity, all these infinite possibilities, all this incredibleness, it's going to make us feel a bit, you know, that's bound to happen. But you see, that's fine, that's okay, we'll get through that. And yeah, so as within, so without, as above, so below, all that type of stuff, you see. So the world we see, things are happening, people are getting upset, it's dark, it's weird, you just get this sense of, yeah, everything feels off. You know, but I feel that it's because, you know, it's not going to function right anymore. It's not going to be the same anymore, because it is IKEA's wardrobe and it's being ripped apart. So I say let it happen, because it's shit. Everything that is pure and good, everything that comes from love, will be protected. Everything that is of darkness and distortion and brutal, violent, vicious, imposed limitation is going to be completely and utterly destroyed and burned. All soul aspects still lingering in the distortion, in the self-hate, in the self-punishments, and in the belief in the programming that, oh, this is all there is, this is all there is, are going to be set free now. There's going to be a reunification. See, because the reason that we feel so lonely is not because we miss other people so much, it is because we miss ourselves. You see, because we are not whole. We are divided. The actual duality of it all started within, when the part of us that hates itself got separated from the part of us that is pure self-love. And that is about to be made whole again. A whole being does not feel loneliness or isolation. It does not feel separated. It feels whole. It knows its own power. It knows its own worth. It knows its own infinite awareness. There is no need to be afraid. See? That is all happening now. There's a lot happening. We're like jugglers here. It's like, whoa. So that's really all I wanted to say today, I think. Yeah, that's about it really. I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't really think I have anything more to add to that. So, yeah. So don't worry, people, if it's all a bit weird and you feel unsettled. There may be some health issues that pop up and you may feel depressed. When do we not feel depressed? Because there are soul aspects still lingering in darkness, and it's an acceleration here. So that needs to be healed and harmonized and brought into wholeness again. So that is happening. So when that happens, we feel the way those soul aspects feel. So those beliefs, those programs, those, oh, we have to stay in the darkness because that's all there is and evil always wins and all this type of shit, you can feel that, you see. So that's part of the purging and the harmonizing and the composting and the recycling and all that. That's happening in my case as well. And it isn't easy, but do your, if you can, TRE or whatever it is you do, whatever practice you have that helps you to navigate those choppy waters of soul retrieval. There's my boy down here. Look. I kiss. Ooh. Oh, you my lovely darling. Yes, that's my boy Kiss. So, yeah, I don't need to say, oh, keep walking the path, because it's not as if we have any options other than to walk this path and to keep going. But the so-called mind and rationality or logic or the laws of physics or any of that, it's forget all that shit. It's all bullshit. None of this is real. It's not real. It morphs. The Mandela effect is a case in point. And so when people start talking about, oh, mud floods and ancient civilizations and this and that and all that, and history is a lie, all that is true, but none of that happened in the mundane, as in, oh, and then this was done and then this happened. No, it all came about via the Mandela effect, which is a mechanism which has been at play. I think it always exists in one form or another, and I think we've had many dark resets and we've had devolution. Layer after layer, we've gone down. Hello. Oh, he looks a bit like, no, it's alright. I was just looking at you. Anyway, never mind. Basically, like reality, which isn't real, was like a jigsaw, got broken up into all these little pieces and tossed about and slapped back together again, and then we had all these different dark resets and devolutions, and the Kali Yuga, which is what we're in now. Some call it the Kali Yuga, where ignorance rides the waves and our consciousness is like that, and oh, this is all there is, and you know, and all that is now being blown wide open. All right. It isn't a case of, oh, it will take 100 to 200 years for us slowly to climb back up. That is not how things work. People that think in mundane terms with limited consciousness will see it that way. Leave them to it. Let the dad bury the dad, people. All right. But those of us who are in this expansion timeline now are going to be experiencing exactly that. All this shit is going to be... our ability to love ourselves really, completely, truly, and to sense more and more wholeness, more and more reunification, more and more communion, that is really what that's all about. That is what will create the new. That is what reset is. It starts within and it spirals outward, layer after layer after layer, blossoming, blooming, opening, right? That is the great healing. Right. That's it then for today. I hope you are all doing well and that you are, you know, enjoying the ride. Well, obviously if you're depressed you're not really enjoying it, but you know that this will be well. It will be well. It will be truly spectacular, amazing and jaw-droppingly awesome. Toodaloo.